This is Wonder Woman. Super strength, super speed, super lasso, one of the best superheroes ever. And this
My name is Inigo Montoya.
is Gal Gadot.
You killed my father. Prepare to die.
She possesses super charisma, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 ways that Gal Gadot has charisma and what you can beg, borrow, steal, adapt for your own personal charisma. You're going to want to stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to show you one of the most underrated ways that you can be charismatic. Let's dive in. Everybody knows what charisma is. When you see it, you feel it. It's that person who is magnetic in social situations. Could be at work, could be at a dinner party. Well, Gal has that ability in spades. We're gonna break down a few different areas looking at some clips of Gal. Decisiveness, enthusiasm and warmth, purpose, and relatability. If you can add a little of each to your personal talent stack, your charisma talent stack, and you can just add a little bit when you are interacting with others, you're gonna be treated with more respect, you're going to be looked to as a leader, and honestly, life's easy mode gets toggled on for you. And it's just easier to move through the world. Let's dive in. Enthusiasm and warmth. Being warm and enthusiastic is a very charismatic trait. People enjoy being around people that are positive. If you've ever been at a get-together and someone just keeps rambling on about whatever's going wrong in their life, do you want to be around that person? I don't. So Gal does this really well. Let's take a look at how she answers one of the questions in this interview.
And is there anything missing in life right now?
Are you kidding me? Look at us. No, everything is great.
Pretty perfect.
The big key there is she says, hey, there's nowhere else I'd rather be. I am happy right where I am. And that's fantastic. And that's exactly the kind of mindset that is going to serve you well if you want to be a more charismatic version of yourself. Wherever you are, you could be at the DMV. The secret of being charismatic is when you're talking to other people, they feel like you have nowhere else that you'd want to be. Famously, Bill Clinton is noted for his ability to make amazing eye contact, and even people that didn't support him said it felt like I was the only person he wanted to talk to at that moment. Let's look at another clip.
Last year we just moved to the States, and it's been her very first Halloween. And I must tell you, it's weird. You guys in America, you have wonderful holidays, but it's kind of crazy, right? Because it's all about consuming and consuming. So Christmas, everyone buy presents. And then Halloween, everyone gotta do candies and buy tons of candy. And then it's okay for you to tell to your children to go knock on strangers' doors so they can give them candies. And last year, I was like, this is the best holiday ever!
Of course!
And
Kids love it!
She loves it! There's nothing not to love about that.
Well,
So as you can see here, she is all about Halloween. She's talking about how her daughter is super excited about Halloween. Gal could have just said, yeah, and my daughter was really excited. But she takes it a step further. The enthusiasm, and she yells like, this is the best holiday ever. It's a great payoff to a short story, and it infuses the conversation with a lot of energy and enthusiasm. And that's what you want to do. Whenever you have an opportunity to be a little more enthusiastic than you normally would be. I call this the 10% rule. Just be 10% more enthusiastic and higher energy than you normally would be. A lot of people default to safety energy. Like they don't want to rock the boat too much. You know, they kind of want to scope out and see what other people are doing. No, be that person who is enthusiastic. You don't have to be over the top. You don't have to be swinging from chandeliers, but a little more enthusiasm is going to go a long way and you are going to seem more charismatic. Here, notice Gal Gadot's eyes. Notice anything? That is what you would call a genuine smile because it gets the eyes involved in the smile. Now, if you've ever seen anyone fake a smile, look, it's freaking creepy. So to be more charismatic, be more enthusiastic than you normally would be. I call this the 10% rule, but also be warm. So to that person that you're talking to, you could be on a Zoom call, whatever the case might be. Say to yourself before you get on that call or you're in that interaction, there's nowhere else I'd rather be. I want this person to feel like I am completely present in the interaction. All right, next up, decisiveness. Being decisive is a fantastic way to demonstrate leadership. Wonder Woman is very decisive, like that time in the trench.
But it's what I'm going to do.
And that time she almost killed a guy at the gala. Gal is also very decisive. Let's look at this clip of her answering a question about a director that she wants to work with.
Is there any director that you're dying to work with?
Spielberg.
You hear that, Spielberg?
Did you hear it?
Did you hear that? You gotta say it a little louder for him.
Steven!
Yeah, so as you see there, no hesitation. She is fully committed to her answer. So you can be more decisive in your daily life, and there are a few keys to do that. One is realize trade-offs happen. One of the biggest things I see when someone is not decisive, when someone tends to hem and haw and hesitate a bunch, is in their mind, they're trying to weigh every conceivable outcome, sort of like a Doctor Strange, looking at all the possibilities. That's not what you want to do. Realize that, look, if I choose one path, there are going to be trade-offs. There are going to be good things about that path and bad things. So how I do this is, say I've got two choices, options A and B. There are going to be pros and cons to each. And at the end of the day, you really just need to think about, hey, can I live with the cons, with the negatives of the path that I choose? If you can, and you've got about 70% of the available information, then go for it. And a big second key to being decisive is the notion of reversible choices. Very few choices in life are not reversible. Yeah, if you jump out of the plane and you don't have a parachute and you're not going to jump into some net like a crazy X Games person, that's not a reversible choice. If you're faced with a decision, think to yourself, hey, what if this goes sideways? How can I correct course rapidly? So you walk up to someone at a dinner party and you start a conversation, and say that person, right before you open your mouth, or maybe right after you've barely started to speak, they get a call and they answer it. Well, what can you do then? Then just think, okay, well, I'm going to look for the next available person and I'm going to start a conversation with them. Say that you take a job and you know in the first 2 weeks, like, hey, this job is not for me. Well, hopefully you maintained good relationships at your last job so that you can maybe just go back there. So in life, always try to cap the downside. So if there is downside, then you want to do everything in your power to limit that downside. The more decisive you are, the more charismatic you will seem, and you'll be looked to as a leader. So be more decisive.
Relatability.
Being relatable is really important. If you're not relatable, people won't feel like they can connect with you. If you've ever met a person who really doesn't share hardly anything about themselves, it can feel like, you don't really know anything about that person, and it's a little bit off-putting. The thing I love about how Gal operates is she will tell a story and focus on the feelings of the story, and so you can't help but feel like you are along for the ride. Let's watch this clip.
I was sitting this entire flight, it's a long flight, 15 hours from Tel Aviv to Los Angeles.
Sure.
I was sitting next to this professor. He's tried really hard to teach me about the quantum theory. Super interesting, though very complicated. I'm still working
He wanted
on
to
it.
talk to you about
the
quantum
entire
physics?
flight we were talking about quantum physics.
Are you that sounds like the worst
Really
thing I could
good
ever
professor.
think of.
It was actually pretty interesting.
Oh, I would put
But
fake
I couldn't
headphones on.
understand
I would go,
anything.
I'm so sorry.
And
I gotta listen to something. Quantum physics.
We landed, open the phone, miss call the agent, the part is yours, you wonder what, but you can't say anything to anyone. And I go, oh my God, oh my God! And this guy's next to me, and everyone are looking at me like, it was a lot louder. I sounded, it was my masculine voice. I'm so sorry. I'm so excited to be here that I've been talking nonstop.
No, that's why it's a talk show. I want you to talk.
Okay, I'll talk.
You
Good
just
evening,
can't say the
everyone.
F word. That's all I'm saying. You can do everything else. Talk about anything. You just can't. The only thing you can't do.
And then he was like, what's going on? Because we became friends, right?
Of course.
So I hope you're watching Professor to Quantum Physics.
Yeah.
That's what happened. I couldn't say anything.
You couldn't say. So he probably thought you were just excited about learning
That I'm
so much
just
about
like,
quantum physics. Like,
exactly.
oh my God!
She
Oh my
got
God!
it,
Oh
she
my
got
God!
it.
Thank you
Yay.
for telling me these theories. Yeah.
No black
So if you
holes.
are watching, yes, that's what happened. You were sitting next to Wonder Woman the whole time.
So there, she was on a 15-hour plane ride from Tel Aviv to LA, and she was sitting next to a quantum professor. Notice how Jimmy Fallon says, oh, that sounds so boring. He takes the negative route. Gal extracts the positive and said, you know what? It was actually pretty interesting. Her enthusiasm and positivity is shining through. And notice how she tells the story of, I'm on this flight, I get the call, I'm screaming, and she even kind of pokes fun at her own voice a little bit. That's completely relatable because it really takes you on a emotional ride. You can't help but feel like you are sitting in, the aisle seat across from her as she's like screaming into her phone because she found out that she got Wonder Woman, but she can't talk about it. So your lesson is anytime you can share something about yourself, you might share something that you might share a time that you've struggled in the past. You might just share a funny story. Anytime you can place yourself with feelings and emotion, it's always going to land better than it would if you just stuck to the facts. So anytime you can infuse emotion and that feeling of creating a movie inside someone's head and making that story about something where, we weren't sure what was going to happen, or we were really scared, or it felt like this. When you can infuse those emotions into that story, the story is going to land much better. I've got a video on how to tell better stories as well that you might check out if you want to dial up your story game.
Next up, purpose.
Having convictions, having a purpose is a very charismatic trait. We tend to gravitate towards people that have ambitions and plans for the future. Look, we all know that guy who just sits on his couch and plays video games all day. When you can display that, hey, I've got ambitions, I've got plans, and let me tell you about them, that conjures up someone like, I think of Oprah, I think of Steve Jobs, those people that are out to put a dent in the universe. The person who has ambitions and has future plans, that is really charismatic because it's saying like, hey, here is how the world is currently. Here's how the world will be different, at least for me, once I do the things that I want to do or once I start down the path that I want to start down. So it could be anything. You might be going to school. You might be switching careers. You might be starting a business. It could be anything, but what dent are you putting in the world? Let's take a look at Gal Gadot talking about her future plans.
And what do you want the film industry to look like for women in a decade?
I would love to see more female writers and filmmakers.
Right. Now, you recently started your own production company.
Right?
What was the motivation for that?
To be able to tell stories that I'm truly, truly passionate about.
And what story would you love to see be made into a film?
Lisa Howard. If you don't know about her, and you probably don't, Google.
I will Google.
Google her.
I will Google her.
And as we saw there, she is driven, she has a mission, and that really ups the influence part of charisma. So if you've never thought about like what your purpose is, sit down, get a piece of paper. There's a really excellent exercise that I do every once in a while called the Debbie Millman 10-year plan. So you look at 10 years from now, what is a day in my life like? You wake up, what's your morning routine? What's your job like? What do you do for fun? Map out the entire day and think about like what your plans are. And once you get that 10-year vision set, then it's much easier to think of like, okay, you know what? If that's where I want to be, this is what I might have to do in the next 3 years or 5 years to get there. And when you're talking to people, this is a great way for them to get to know you a little bit. And it also demonstrates, hey, I'm not just going to sit on my couch and play video games forever. Nothing against video games. I played video games yesterday. Having an ambition, having a plan, very, very charismatic. If you're interested in more info about learning to be charismatic, I have my course, Breakthrough Charisma, where I walk you through the different parts of charisma and how to be a more charismatic you in everyday situations. That link is in the description.
All right, that is it for me. I hope you enjoyed this breakdown. It was super fun to do. I want to hear what you think. Comment below the like button. What breakdown should I do in the future? All right, do me a favor. Gently hit the like button. We don't want to break it. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you on the next one. Talk soon.
Hey, a couple of quick things before you leave. One, I've got a subscribe button over here. If you would, hit that subscribe button. Two, hit the like button. It helps other awesome people like you find this video. And three, drop a comment below with a topic suggestion or a question for me. Talk soon.